Good morning. Good morning. The August 19th, 2015 meeting of the Board of Investment is now called to order. In the interest of promoting the order and efficiencies of these hearings, persons who are disruptive to the hearings will be asked to leave the hearing room immediately. Madam Deputy Controller, are there any corrections, additions, or deferrals on the agenda?
Good morning. For today's agenda, I'd like to announce that we received a protest from Ms. Trueheart for pages 1 to 77 of the agenda for all items. The board did receive and review her protest, however, it will not be heard by the board. Additionally, we have received for page 71, item number 6, a protest from Horton Mechanical Contractors, Inc. That item will be moved to the non-routine agenda. I'd like to also announce that in the absence of Mr. Rudy Child, Ms. Dale Thompson will sit and act on his behalf today. I have the following abstentions to note. The Honorable Mayor Rawlings-Blake will abstain on page 7, page 25, and on page 65. The Honorable President Young will abstain on page 25, page 67, pages 74 to 76, items 4 and 5. The items that are now on the non-routine agenda are pages 71, item number 6, and page 72, item number 7. Mr. President, members of the board, those are the protests received, as well as the abstentions that have been provided, and the items that remain on the non-routine agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. I would direct the board members' attention to the memorandum from our office dated August the 17th, 2015, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items together with any corrections and additions that have been noted by the Deputy Controller. I would entertain a motion to approve all of the items contained on the routine agenda.
Move approval of all items on the routine agenda.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carried. The routine agenda has been adopted. The first item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 71, item 6. Recommendation for contract awards and rejection. Bureau of Purchases, B5004135. Miscellaneous electrical work. Will the parties please come forward?
Tim Crust, City Purchasing Agent. This is the award of miscellaneous electrical work to Hawkeye Construction and Calmy Electrical Company for $2,331,300 for an initial term of 3 years.
John Dullock, Horton Mechanical. Rodney Horton, Horton Mechanical. Go ahead. Okay. So the reason for our protest of this award is that this was a multiple award project. Our bid proposal was submitted, rejected on terms of MBU participation.
We need you to talk a little more closely into the mic.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Our bid proposal was submitted and rejected on basis of MBU participation. Horton Mechanical was the lowest bidder on the project and also provided MBU participation in excess of the total required, but we did request a waiver for the WBE portion of the requirement, and that was the basis of the rejection. And we're requesting that the rejection be overturned and that it be accepted.
Courtney Billups, Chief of the Minority and Women's Business Opportunity Office. My office did review the bids and determined that Horton Electrical was non-compliant for failure to meet the WBE goal. The MB goal and the WBE goal are separate, so the fact that they exceeded the overall goal is not necessarily probative because the WBE goal is separate. The rationale that they're a union shop and they had to use a union subcontractor, we certainly understand, but that was not part of the bid requirement. That's not a city requirement. That's a business practice, business decision for Horton Mechanical. We did, before we made our determination, identify at least one WB electrical firm that was not contacted by Horton. We did our due diligence to identify that firm, and certainly Horton had the opportunity to do the same. So unfortunately, we had to make the decision that we did.
At the time of bid, we were contacted our local union hall, Local 24, and they did not
identified, they said they didn't have any union WBE contractor signatory to Local 24. And from that point forward, that's why we contacted INBO's office to see what was the procedure moving forward. And that's what we did when we submitted the bid.
Well, again, we went through the WB directory and contacted those firms and identified electrical contractor, and certainly Horton had the opportunity to do that, and they did not.
Okay. Anything else? I entertain a motion.
Move rejection of the bid protest and approval of the recommendation of the Bureau of Purchases.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. The second item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 72. Item 7, recommendation for contract awards rejection, Bureau of Purchases, B5004074, JIT Office Supplies. Will the parties please come forward?
Tim Crust, City Purchasing Agent. This is the award of just-in-time office supplies to Rudolph's Office and Computer Supply in the amount of $9 million for an initial term of 5 years.
Good morning, Thurman Zolikoff on behalf of My Office Product Supply.
Good morning, I'm Debbie Lafferty. I'm the Regional Vice President for My Office Products.
Heather James on behalf of My Office Products.
Okay.
First of all, let me thank the board for delaying this. I know that this contract was supposed to go in on August the 1st, and I was unable to come in and protest before that time, so I thank the board for delaying this this bid protest. My Office Products is the apparent low bidder on this contract, and the Board of Purchases and the City Law Department found that there was a material failure to propose a government-to-business punch-out interface within the time frame, and that was the only reason that we were rejected. This is not a material defect. The material interface is something that would have already been in place by My Office Products and by computer, and to get one that would be implemented within the city's time frame would they said they would have it in by the end of the year, but what they really meant was that with the help of the city. This is a two-way process. This is not something that we just force in. It is a process that they would have to work with the city, they would work within the city time frame, and that they could have it in within 3 months. This contract would save the city about $50,000 a year. The fact that they said that this would be by us not having within the stated response that it would be within the 3 months, that it would be somehow a price or a advantage is blatantly false. The only one who would have an advantage would be the incumbent, because they've had it for 5 years. They don't have to put it in. It is a disadvantage to everyone else who is bidding, because they're bidding not only against a blank slate, but they also don't have the implementation because it's not already in. There is when the city goes out for bid, if the only way the process works, the only way that the city gets the best buy and the best bang for its buck is if you have absolute transparency. When you have an incumbent in a contract for almost a decade or more, you decrease the amount of competition, you decrease the efficiency of the city, and when someone does actually win the bid by cost, and then you kick them out by a technical deficiency, you're not only hurting the effective price that the city's getting, but you're also affecting the overall competition. And so the city is not going to win in this if they allow this so-called deficiency to go forward.
The city made it very clear in the solicitation that within 3 months of award, the contractor must have an internet ordering system with the ability to implement a government-to-business punch-out interface with the city's electronic purchasing system. Not only did we make it clear in the solicitation, but we made it absolutely clear in the pre-bid conference when we announced that a vendor must have that system implemented within the first 90 days after award. My Office Products was not present at the pre-bid conference, but their sub AJ Stationers was. This is a capability that we have to order office products in the city that we cannot move backward from, and we cannot allow a 12-month period to go by when city users are using a separate system to order office supplies.
Hi, I'd like to interject, please.
Your name.
Debbie Lafferty, I apologize, Debbie Lafferty with My Office Products. I wrote the response. And what the actual wording of the specification says is that within 90 days you must have a system with the ability to implement, with the ability.
I thought there was an announcement that we
I'm sorry. So you needed to have,
Calming thing.
yes, it really was. It's very calming.
We're all sort of lulled into a sense of.
So if I could begin again.
Go ahead.
So the actual wording of the technical specification is that within 90 days, a firm must have the ability to implement a punch-out site. You must have an internet site with this ability, which makes complete sense to me because I would concur you don't want to go backwards and have to order an old-fashioned way. The timing of this response from putting it to the street to award was only 6 weeks. Anybody except for the incumbent would need to have offered you an interim plan until the punch-out was done. So our response said, yes, we have an internet site with that ability. You can use it in the interim from the very beginning, and we will work on this punch-out interface. And to be clear, the only difference, this is what makes this so granularly technical and in my mind really not a good reason to disqualify us, is when you go to our site in the very beginning, all you do is log into it and you're in the shopping cart site. Then you pick your products, you shop, and you check out. When the interface is done, you still go to my shopping cart site. The only thing that happens is you go to Buy Speed to click into it. So this purchasing's response that my interim plan was a waste of time or a burden on the city really doesn't hold merit because you're going to go to that site anyway.
Tim Cross City.
And,
oh, I'm sorry.
and you, there is no way that we have a competitive advantage to delay having you connected. Any kind of delay is very costly for us as well. So on that merit, it's false.
Tim Cross, City Purchasing Agent. That's actually not completely the way that this works. When our city users decide that they want to buy office supplies, they go into City Buy, the city's purchasing system, and they decide that they're going to punch out to a specifically developed city catalog that our office supply vendor has prepared. It takes them through City Buy to that vendor's catalog where they shop for contractual items. When they're finished shopping, it actually builds a purchase requisition in City Buy, which can be immediately sent to the vendor by the agency to purchase those office supplies. It is a very tight integration. In the event that we would have had a different vendor win this recommendation for award, we would have come to the board asking for a 3-month extension on the existing contract before the new contract began to ensure that city employees did not have to break away from that and that we would lose the incredibly detailed tracking that we have. But in this case, because we found My Office Products to be non-responsive, we come to you with a request for immediate award.
This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about ultimate transparency. I don't believe that what he just said was ever in the RFP. It just lists that you should be available to do it in 3 months. If you're going to make something a material part of the contract, it cannot be something that on day one you cannot put into place. It's It has zero to do with cost. We still save the city money. You're paying more for individual products. Over the course of the entire contract, it is a significant amount of money. If they were going to say that, it should have been in the bid that whoever was going to take over this contract would not be starting on August 1st, but would be starting in November 1st, because there'll be a lag time in switching over. This moving of the ball is the kind of lack of transparency that really undermines the bidding process. And this is a significant contract. So, and if the board was to follow the request of purchases and find that we have a deficient bid, I would ask that you would throw all the bids out, because Rudolph's bid is insufficient in many ways. And we've attacked that. It was sent to the law department, and we've yet to receive a response from the law department whether they have investigated the fact that they have been decertified by Prince George's County, that their subcontractor is not doing the things that they said they were going to be able to do, that it would be simply a pass-through. Until you've actually investigated those issues and have a firm answer for the city in which you feel comfortable in going forward with this contract, I would ask that this contract be, if we do not prevail, that it be thrown out and rebid, because it's the only thing that would be fair and transparent for the city.
Mr. Zalakoffer, do you agree that your client would not, based on its submission, would not have in place, up and running, fully functional, 90 days after the start of the contract, with the capability and the feature that we've been talking about here?
No, I don't agree. What I do agree is that there was the wording of her response was inaccurate, and it was unclear.
The wording of your client's response?
Yes, and they have the same
So
they have the same.
So that, and I said in my question, I said, would you agree that according to your client's response, unclear or ambiguous though it may be, that either your client was not committed based on that response to have this capability up and running and in place in 90 days?
No, I think that what my client was trying to communicate was that it can have it done, but knowing that it is a two-way street, that they have to work within the city and they have to work within city employees to get this thing correct. They've done the same thing with the state. The state had the same or very close to it specifications. They met it, but the state was dilatory in being able to help put it together.
Well,
so it's a two-way street.
Your client could have said in its submission that it would have this up and running, provided that the city fully cooperates and doesn't frustrate your client's ability to deliver on that promise. You could have said that, right?
Well, Mr. Solicitor, and that may not be an accurate response also.
Well,
so I mean, at some point we start splitting hairs. You're getting further and further away from the purpose. The purpose of the contract is to provide the best price for the city at the lowest cost, the best product for the city at the lowest cost. And the fact that you have an incumbent contract, that they're the only one who actually has this up and running. Anybody else who would bid on this would have to get this up and running.
Within 90 days.
What was the exact wording?
Let me pull it up.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, you can.
So it's on page B15. The exact wording is, and this is a section of it, but it's within context. Within 3 months of an award, contractor must have an internet ordering system with the ability to implement government to business punch-out interface. So the ability to implement is not the same thing as having a fully implemented system, which is what how the purchasing office is interpreting that requirement.
So you would interpret it to say, as long as you have the ability, it doesn't matter whether you actually implement it for 3 years.
Well, I think if the city wanted a fully implemented system, I think the RFP would have certainly
I
required
think it did
that.
say so.
It is our belief that the RFP did say that, and we stressed that in the pre-bid conference, making it very clear that this needed to be implemented within the first 90 days. And I would also assure the board that we didn't give a 90-day window capriciously. We have implemented punch-out before. When we implemented the initial punch-out with Rudolph's, it took well less than that period of time. And as far as
How long did it take?
my recollection is it took about 6 to 8 weeks. The other comments that the protestant is making about Rudolph's bid and the inadequacies in that bid were addressed by the law department in an opinion that was forwarded to Mr. Zollicoffer and My Office Products over a week ago. Rudolph's has also separately come to the board talking about the points that My Office Products made, some of which were actually materially wrong. For example, Rudolph's non-compliance with Employ Baltimore. Employ Baltimore doesn't even apply to this solicitation. Local hiring does. So we have taken a very thorough look at these responses and are completely comfortable with the award recommendation that we've made.
Was one of the claim defects an insurance requirement that Mr. Zollicoffer said was not adequately complied with?
That is correct, but it was adequately complied with under the same standards that we apply to all solicitations.
Based on what?
Based on the existing insurance information that we had and the ability of the vendor to confirm that they've provided the insurance once they know that they have an award.
So by the time the contract is actually executed
Correct.
and up and running.
That is correct.
I still haven't heard an answer as to why they were decertified by the Prince George's County government.
I have the president of Rudolph's here who can address that directly.
Christina Ensley with Rudolph's Office and Computer Supply. Mr. President, we have put in our paperwork to be recertified with Prince George's County. We provided them with a letter from MDOT on March 26th stating that we were a certified MBE in the state of Maryland. And for whatever reason, in late June, we received a notice from them that they had put our MBE on hold until they had further information from the state of Maryland. But I do have a copy of the letter that we are certified through the state of Maryland, and we provided that to Prince George's County.
Which means they were decertified. If they have to get recertified, they were decertified.
Excuse me, sir, you're recertified every year. It's part of the process. It's a yearly process. And you have to submit paperwork every year. And we submitted all the required paperwork.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
For consideration for action for 1 week, extend the existing contract for 1 week. I'm gonna,
Mr. Nelson?
Mr. President, if I may make a motion to defer the board's decision on the matter for 1 week only, one and only deferral, to enable some folks to review some of the issues that are here. That would require also that we, at the same time, extend the existing contract by 1 week.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. There have been no more business before the board. The meeting will recess until bid opening at 12 noon. Thank you.
Good afternoon. The Board of Estimate is now in session for the opening and receiving of bids. I have one addendum to read today. SC 937, improvements to sanitary sewers in HR 07A and along Chesterfield Avenue in Herring Run Sewer Set. Please change the bid due date from August 19th to August 26, 2015. There are no other addendum.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
SC 887R, upgrade of the SCADA system for the pumping and metering stations. A bid bond is required if the amount is over $100,000. Optimum Controls Corporation with a bid bond. Optimum Controls Corporation with a bid bond. $1,808,713.
Refer this bid to the Department of Public Works for tabulation and report.
RP 15816, Silborn Arboretum Formal Garden Improvements. A bid bond is required if the amount is over $100,000. Triafano Builders, Inc. with a bid bond, $223,500. DSM Properties LLC with a bid bond, $233,075. P. Flanagan and Sons Incorporated with a bid bond, $247,466. Allied Contractors, Inc. with a bid bond, $222,200.
We refer these bids to the Department of Public Works for tabulation and report.
B50004161. Various trophies and awards. A bid bond is not required. Lawrence A. Beck Company, $95,799.71.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay, no problem. $95,799.71. Oh, I'm sorry. I separated them out. That's a different company. Allogram Inc. $70,679.49. Just a sample, okay. MTM Recognition Corporation, $74,102.96. Lamb Awards and Engraving, $72,264.59.
Refer these bids to the Bureau of Purchases for tabulation and report.
B5, B50003904. Healthcare Consultant and Actuarial Services. This is a technical opening. Prices will not be read. Siegel Consulting, Hay Group, HAY Group. PRM Consulting Group. Aon Consulting, Inc.
Refer these bids to the Bureau of Purchases for tabulation and report.
There being no further business, we are adjourned.